Thank you, Edmundo. I too would like to really compliment the authors for this work. It's actually quite a sum, and I think it's a really very engaging document, and I also think that it will contribute to increase the public awareness about soil biodiversity. It's linked to ecosystem function services, which often are unknown, as you've pointed out, the link to human well-being, which is often even more unknown. But also, I think that it will also convey the beauty of it. I know Dinah, I've followed her for many years, and she's always showed all of these great photos about soil biodiversity and what you can see underground. Perhaps less a sense of the smell, but for sure it's inspiring nature, and I think that for that you deserve a lot of congratulations. I think that it will also represent very relevant contribution to the work that IPBES is doing in that domain, and so let me just share with you a little bit of information on that. So IPBES, as pointed out by Edmundo, is the intergovernmental science policy platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, it is very much inspired from IPCC in the sense that it produces assessments of existing knowledge and delivers it in response to requests from policymakers in the form of long technical reports, together with summary for policymakers and key messages that are relevant to policy making. And in that context, there was a request by the member countries of IPBES. We currently have 124 countries who are member, and they have requested, together with stakeholders who come to the work, the plenaries, as we call them, of IPBES, as well as the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, they have requested an assessment on land degradation and restoration. And this is where the link with the work that we're talking about here is becoming very clear. And so this soil land degradation and restoration assessment was started last year. It currently involves 90 experts. They were selected from hundreds of CVs of experts who responded to a call for participation in that assessment. And there are very clear rules to participate in the assessments of IPBES, again, very much inspired from IPCC to really warrant the credibility, the transparency, and the legitimacy. And in particular, we very much value geographical balance and bringing in all of the people from all parts of the world in these kinds of studies. So that assessment of land degradation and restoration will be launched in 2018. It is an assessment of all existing publications, be it peer-reviewed publications, but also gray literature and any relevant information. It's based on what we call scoping report, which was approved by the countries. So they've given us a mission which is very detailed. It also has 8 chapters. It matches a conceptual framework that IPBES has adopted for itself. So it's very integrative in the sense that we look at the whole picture, starting with the indirect drivers, the direct drivers, the biodiversity, the ecosystem services, and the human well-being. And we look, for example, at concepts and perceptions about land degradation, status and trends, of course, responses to avoid land degradation. There is a chapter dedicated to future scenarios of land degradation, and a big place is given to options in terms of governance, in terms of institutions, in terms of various ways, various policies that have been used in various contexts. So importantly, I would like to flag the fact that there is an important step that is coming out. It's the review of the first order draft. It's an external peer review, and I'd like to ask all of the experts who are here interested to come to the website and ask to become reviewers. It starts on the 30th of May and will run until about mid-July. So that's, I think, something that's important to say here. And just rapidly to conclude, we are starting a global assessment, which is the first of biodiversity and ecosystem services, first time after the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, that the global environment is reviewed again, so 10 years after. And there will, of course, also be an important soil biodiversity component in it. We are working hand in hand with the Convention on Biological Diversity on that as part of what they call their Global Biodiversity Outlook 5, so that global assessment would form the global component of that assessment, which also includes a lot about national and subnational scale information. So that global assessment will come out in 2019 in time for all of the reporting of the 2020 and the Aichi targets that I'm sure you're familiar with. So with that, I would like to thank you again for inviting me here as IPBES representative to the launch of this great piece of work, and to congratulate you again for it. Thank you.